let TRD, I'm gonna have Yvonne join in,
Okay.
and just let them know that we're gonna be running late, and she's gonna take notes.
Okay, we'll try to hustle. We have that, y'all know that we have the TRD, they're wanting to do, like I said, on the top today at 9 o'clock. Action
Live on
rep.
YouTube,
So he's gonna step out and go.
Yeah.
microphone's green,
Microphone's green.
and
Action.
you're on, sir.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see your bright and shiny faces this beautiful, cool, moist 28th of April. The time is 9 o'clock, and they're saying next door 0900 hours with the Forestry Service. And we're continuing on with our workshop. So we will go ahead and observe our traditions of a moment of silence and the national anthem. I mean, the Pledge of Allegiance. The national anthem will be performed by Susan Lutterman this morning.
Me. Thank you, God, for the moisture.
Amen. Okay, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the leading symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
All right, gang, I think we did a lot yesterday until we lost internet. So that's what happened. If anybody's still wondering, we lost our Wi-Fi, so we were able to, I had to stop the meeting. We're really pushing hard to get through the whole thing, so we're going to jump into it today. We'll have a few that will have to break away. We have another important Zoom at 9 o'clock. So if we will proceed, Judy, do you remember where we were at?
We were with Eric.
Yes, sir.
And Eric
I do.
was
We
speaking.
were on Fund 502. We had just finished up with Eric's department, which is 212, and we were moving on to Adam's department, which is 220. So you're looking for Fund 502, 220.
Does anybody have that page number?
Page 108.
108. Wait, I had it all laid out now.
Yeah, we gotta zip through, we were on 64 when we left.
Okay, there it is. Yep.
The counselor thought he was talking a lot, because he said we're on 64, he got the lot once he left.
Okay.
Just teasing you, counselor.
So this is water distribution, otherwise known as sewer. This has 21 FTV positions. And when you look at the budget, it looks pretty much flat. I see Adam's on the line. If you want to talk about your projects and construction, about the beacon transmitters, it's account 502-220-53006.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Mayor and Council. Like I said, the budget's pretty flat, from last year our operations. The one thing we did add in there is $449,000 for our beacon meters. Just to kind of update you guys, we heard from Beacon, and basically they are taking the 2 and 3G off the towers and activating the 4 and 5G. So by the end of the year, the 3G will no longer be in service. So we are having to replace 7,200 transmitters for our automated read meters.
7,200?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
We've actually replaced all of our commercial meters, and 196, I believe, of our residential meters have already been replaced.
Your what kind of meters?
The residential and commercial meters are 4G as we speak. They're the LTE.
And so are you referring to our water meter deals?
Yes, Mayor.
So those are already obsolete?
They're already obsolete, and what one of the things that they had explained to us is, we do have a 10-year warranty on these. We are in the 6th year. So what they're proposing is a prorate, and basically it'll give us 20 years. So we actually will have 14 years on the new system for a discounted price. The original price was $183 a beacon, and the new price would be $63.95 a transmitter.
And that's times how many?
7,200, I believe.
Okay, that's what I thought you said.
So this is the little piece that takes the read and transmits it to,
Right.
our beacon software. Okay, all right, I got it.
I get that, I just don't know why I'm so blindsided that something, I can't believe it's been 6 years already,
It has, it's crazy.
but, that they're already obsolete. I don't know if they had that in the sales manual.
Well, and I reached out to another community that has the same meters just to see, what they're, if they're going through the same thing. And actually, it was the city of Santa Fe, and they were told the same thing. The one thing that they did is they had already ordered the restock of the new meters, so they're putting them in. So they're in the same boat as we are.
Okay, and what kind of installation are we looking at on that?
This does not include installation. That's another thing we're going to have to work out. Maybe with our crews, we can. The hooking them up is not the big deal. The programming is going to be the time consuming part.
Mayor, moving forward, I think that this is something that we have to add into the evaluation is, what is the long-term, expectancy of these units as far as, it's not that these things aren't functional. The company basically changed and changed the upgrade. It's like, it's not that the technology isn't continuing to work. They just changed what they're manufacturing.
Yeah, and that's their built-in
Yeah.
big business.
Yep, and so, I think that's something that we have to have a part of our evaluation with the engineers to say, what's your recommendation? If this is a 10-year payoff on this investment, is it gonna be obsolete after 5 years? If so, how do we mitigate it becoming obsolete? I think that, as technology continues to develop, I think that's what we're gonna be facing in a lot of different areas, things becoming obsolete, and it just becomes an excuse for the company to make more money.
Yeah, I mean, what do we spend on that? $1 million what?
It was like $3 million, I believe.
$3
It
million?
was like 2.2 million.
Yes.
Did it in 2 phases.
I mean, I'm
So what-
embarrassed that I didn't even ask that question.
So this 449,000, so does everybody on our system have to have a new one?
Yep.
Yep.
7,200
Yes, ma'am.
of them.
And Mayor, we did look back at the contractual language, but moving forward, I think as times change, we need to kind of look at those terms and conditions of the agreements. And when we make that substantial an investment, those suppliers should be giving us some type of for lack of a better word, some type of warranty as far as, how long are they going to continue to manufacture these things or whatnot.
Yeah. Longevity.
Now you look back at the warranty of them, and it's not even covered in a warranty situation.
John's got something.
Adam, is this a beacon change or is this cell phone provider change?
It's a cell phone provider change. They're taking the CDMI off the towers, which is the 2 and 3G, and the only thing that will be left on the tower is the 4 and 5G.
4 or 5. So is this something Beacon should have known, or did they get blindsided like us?
Truth, Counselor, I couldn't answer that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I see where you're going on this, but does that mean that the older cell phones aren't gonna work anymore?
That's what it means.
Yeah, 3Gs
Yes.
won't.
Oh, my gosh.
3Gs won't. 4Gs and 5Gs won't.
Oh, well,
Planned obsolescence.
yeah.
Be darned.
Well, yeah, at least they're giving us a better price, but I'm still not clear on if it was them or the cell phone providers that are causing all this.
I think it was Counselor Cornelius. I believe it was the cell phone providers, the ones that actually own the satellites on the towers. But but, you know, like you said, did they know about this, you know, how long those satellites were going to sit on the towers?
Yeah, because we've been hearing about 5G for several years,
Yeah.
and that wasn't here.
Well, and we were told that 5G wasn't going to be able to work here that well because of the trees. Remember that?
The terrain, I remember.
So, I don't know, so, what we gotta determine now is, in the future, we determine what we should have known and when we should have known it, and this is another expensive lesson.
Yeah, and that's basically what I'm suggesting is that, you know, in the warranty, you know, if it's going to stop, you know, being functional because of future technology, you know, how is that warranty going to recognize the, you know, technology changes as they occur? Or should it? You know, I think we need some assurance when we're buying something that it's at least going to last the lifespan of what they're selling, you know, what they're proposing.
I don't know if we can have any kind of hammer on the cell phone providers, but if we do, we could say, you know, you want to keep your stuff here, leave 3G on the tower. Now, I don't understand it enough to know if that's
I
even
don't
feasible.
either.
Maybe just a simple term, if technology changes and it becomes obsolete, then, you know, we're given a greater replacement value or something.
Mr. Mayor, Adam, I was listening to you when you first started this, Jackson. So when the vendor came back, they they discounted what a normal new installation would be by X number of dollars per unit. Is that right? Down to 60 something, $60 or $70 per unit from 100 plus. Is that right?
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Jackson, yes. The original amount, if we were to buy them just off the shelf, is it's $183 a beacon unit, and they discounted I want to say it was $63 or $66 a unit.
Were they doing that as goodwill because of the current, because they were the current vendor, or because that was part of the warranty?
They said that was part of the warranty. It was a prorate, and then they would add being that we're in the 6 year out of 10 years, they will add another 10 years onto our warranty period, and so basically we'll have 14 years left, or 13 after this is all done.
And if I understood it correctly, then the installation will be on us, but not on them. Is that right or no?
That is correct.
That's going to tie you up quite a bit, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And like I said, the installation part of it is the easy, you know, you just go pop the lid and plug it in and pop and anchor it to the lid. But the activation of it and tying it to to Village Hall is the hard part.
And does that have to be done after each one is changed out?
Yes,
Because
sir.
it looks to me like it would be pairing up differently.
Yes, it's got to be paired. Each individual account has to be paired to that beacon.
What do
Is
you
that
think?
something we can do in-house, or is that a IT Systems MD job?
We can calibrate them out in the field, but as far as changing over at Village Hall, that would be, I think, a water billing question, because I think last time the contractor actually worked getting all the data to Village Hall.
So what happens, Mayor and councilors, is that these transmitters have unique numbers, and those unique numbers have to be programmed to Village Hall. And what would happen is the guys would go in the field and report back to Beacon the ID numbers of the transmitters, and then a dump of data would be given to us through Beacon, and Beacon would help us massage the data to where the readings started coming in. But a lot of times when they send us the transmitters, they're not programmed as Village of Ruidoso transmitters, they're somebody else's.
Right.
And then we have to send them back, and Beacon has to reprogram them. So a lot of times it's not hard. It's if the prep work isn't done before, it just prolongs the dump of the data and the transmitters into our system.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, and I know Mayor, you remember Mayor, the gentleman, your friend, where they had the endpoints placed on the meter.
Yes.
And he
The
was,
wrong, yeah.
he was trying to, with his laptop, it said that it couldn't find it when he was trying to do the ion water, and that's what happened. They were sending the ones with the wrong ID numbers from another water utility system from California, so they have to make sure and be totally correct in order for them to work correctly.
They ought to do that before they send them
Yeah.
to us.
Yes.
They should, I don't know. I just feel
And the
like-
new ones we're getting, the new ones we've got in the ground that we've had to replace, in the warranty period, like Judy said, they have been assigned to a different community, so we've had to, like you said, massage it and get
Send them
it,
back.
yeah.
When does this all have to be done by?
They said by the end of the year.
Wow.
After the year's almost over.
A fiscal year or calendar year?
Calendar year,
Oh, calendar, so December? Okay.
yes.
Well,
Pretty
Adam,
quick.
Yeah, it is.
as a John Q. consumer, I can appreciate the system. Very recently, I got a visit. So I want a shout out to your guys for coming out right away and letting me know about a leak that I wasn't even aware of.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson.
I think it was Daniel, actually.
Okay.
He's a great PR guy. I don't think he knew me from Adam's Ox, but that's fine. I was your, what is it, your silent shopper, yeah.
And he's one of my new employees. He's doing really good.
Okay, well, I guess that stinks. But that wasn't even on the radar, was it?
Not even, yeah. I don't know how you could have really foreseen that
Yeah, I don't know.
coming down the.
So with all this new money coming in on water projects and stuff like that, would any of this qualify? Maybe?
The guidance hasn't came out yet, Mayor, so not sure.
Because I know they're earmarking a lot for dams and bridges and water and all that, so.
And normally, they talked about that being the typical type of infrastructure that they were funding before. And it sounds like they've expanded the definition, so, hopefully we can recover some of this type of cost as we move forward.
Is there another alternative?
I was just thinking maybe SGRT, the original, when we installed the original meters, we used SGRT funds. Maybe that might be an option.
It might be, but I don't think it'd be the best option. What do you think, Ralph, on that?
Yeah, I would stick SGRT on that.
But Adam, as far as who else does that kind of business?
Mayor Crawford, there is, different, different vendors but they're different kind of meters. It won't correlate with actual meters we have in the ground. So Beacon's the only one that actually sells the transmitters for the Badger meters.
It becomes pretty proprietary once you get into the meter itself. Once you purchase that meter, then the rest of the equipment's pretty proprietary. One of the things we can do, Mayor, is we can, talk to the Finance Authority, see if the Water Trust Board may have some type of emergency funding for this type of situation. We could talk to the Environment Department.
I just can't believe that there are R&D and people that designing this didn't know this already.
Now, there's other people that have their own systems, but, once you purchase that system, it
You're
does.
in.
Yeah.
And I remember we researched Badger quite a bit. Okay, so this has got to start happening pretty quick to be able to meet the deadline by December.
Yes, sir. But the Mayor Crawford, one of the things that in the conversations we've had is, they have a lead time on some of the new beacons, but they're not going to be able to do the mass production until after June.
Wow. I mean, do you foresee being able to get them installed
We're going to have to one way or another.
and still do your other stuff? So worst case scenario, we don't get some done. At that point, what will we do? Read the meter or?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have to go out and read
You
it.
have to go back, manual reading.
Okay,
Well, and it takes away that surveillance of leaks too.
Yes.
Judy, is
I'm
there, I'm sorry, is there any funds that might be available in June to put a pre-order in, even if it's like $50,000 or, you know, to at least get the order in so we could get them at least on their way here?
Yeah, we can look into that. I was gonna ask, are there any other, additional tools that we'll need to calibrate them or anything like that? Or will that be supplied by Beacon?
I
'Cause I
believe,
remember they had, those little reader things.
Judy, I believe that we do have one of the, when we do the swipes and stuff out in the field to activate them, I believe Jeremy Brown does have the computer and the tie-in to, yeah.
So,
We do only have one though.
go ahead, John.
I think Rifle's right. We need to get these things ordered if we're going to. It's been my experience lately that everything's got a triple lead time from what they used to be or what they even tell you.
Yes,
And that could cause real problems.
I agree, Counselor.
You know, Judy, was your comment more about if there was opportunity to do the wand read? Is that what you're asking?
So when they were installing them last time, they had this little computer reader in the field to calibrate the transmitter, and they would check to make sure that it was reading properly. So the crews that were there, I think it's called, it's just a little handheld machine, right? And I know we
Yeah.
had bought some.
The transponder, yes.
And so, you know, I was just trying to figure out, are we gonna need to buy some more of those tools so that you can have more crews out trying to install or swipe these transmitters so that it goes faster, so you have more teams and more people that maybe for a couple weeks can go out and get it done.
Yeah, and I just brought that up because, you know, if it's more of a cell tower issue where it's not transmitting back to Village Hall, you know, other places have set up to where they do the drive-by, and it basically picks up the data, and then you go back to Village Hall and you would plug it in and download the data. So there may be other alternatives that may be cheaper that we haven't thought of. When I was in Las Vegas, we didn't do the drive-by or the thing. We had the actual wand where they had to walk up to each meter, and they still had a little machine that picked up the reading, and that's just because they didn't have the coverage. So there is different processes that we may consider.
Adam, on these transponders you're talking about, will that pick up the data that's already in the old meter and reconcile it with the new one? I can see some billing problems here.
Councilor Cornelius, yes. Once you hook up once you marry the account number with the transponder, the meter's not going to change. The meter has its own read on it, so it's gonna sell that read to the
okay.
to the.
Adam, I'm just asking out of total ignorance, but do you anticipate with some of the things that Councilor Cornelius just said about delays in hardware and change out, is it possible or probable that we'll need to contract additional help for you to get these online?
Councilor Jackson, that is a possibility, yes.
Do we have such an idea of who that might be, or?
The only thing I'm sure there's companies out there, you know, we could reach back out to the company that actually installed them before and, you know, do go that route.
I understand we're trying to look at cost containment, but I'm just looking at a timetable that seems fairly variable right now.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we can, I'll start looking for the contractors that do it. And I think it's not hard to do. They just have to have the data to do it, is what I think. If we reach out to the same ones that we reached out to before, maybe we can
the thing that seems daunting is 7,200 meters. And
Yes.
programming each one individually and then verifying that they're actually correct.
Absolutely.
Then I'm thinking of winter, water breaks, all those things. Thank
Councilor
you.
Jackson, you're correct.
Adam, you might check with Baker and ask, what's his name?
Glenn?
Yes, find out who is installing this type of units anyway.
Okay,
Get his recommendation.
will do.
So Adam, I have a question on the sewer line extension, that $100,000. What area is that for? Is that our portion for town and country, or?
Councilor Salas, we are actually rolling over 41,206.67 from our previous budget and asking for 100,000. Yes, part of that, the preliminary engineering for Pine Cliff.
Pine Cliff.
And then the rest of it will be towards in-house extensions.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for Adam?
Judy, do you want to talk about the vehicle rollover and the Vector on this, or is that something separate?
No, you can go ahead and talk about it.
Okay. Mayor, Council, the one thing that we did roll over on here is the equipment and vehicles. We do have 58,175 in our current budget to be rolled over for a 1-ton pickup this next year. And then we actually went out for a lease to get some prices on a lease for a new Vector, 5-year lease. And I have the numbers for that if you guys want to hear those.
Sure.
Okay, the lease amount would be $92,246.77 a year. To buy this outright, if we just went and purchased it, would be $542,974. That's a difference of $81,740.15. And if it was financed, if we decided to buy it outright at the end of the 5-year lease, which I don't think we should, would be $611,233.85.
So again, going in that yearly lease, that includes all the maintenance or, routine maintenance, or is that still on us?
So with the Vector, there's two different things with this. When we order the Vector, the cabin chassis actually comes from Freightliner or Peterbilt, whatever.
Right.
And then Vector actually builds everything onto it. So the Vector part of it would be part of the maintenance. The cabin chassis would not.
Okay.
What does a Vector do?
That is our big truck that sucks all the stuff out of the manholes and does the rotting stuff.
Okay,
Yeah, big vacuum cleaner.
yeah.
Are you gonna have Zach review that lease like we've been doing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what are you doing with the old Vector?
We are keeping it. One of the issues that we're having right now, and it's kind of helped out that the Downs has a Vector, but theirs is very small. So if there was ever a big blockage, kind of like the one at the track, it helps, but it really doesn't help. And, like if ours ever goes in the shop, which now, we're kind of on pins and needles. If it goes down, we're out of a Vector for, however long it takes for them to fix it. So we're planning on keeping it as a backup. And that way, Isaac, because we go down once to twice a week to help Isaac do his grease trap on the sewer plant. So that Vector could actually be staged down there in case we couldn't do it down there. They would have access to it.
All right, good.
And at times we've had to help out other communities like Carrizozo as well,
Yes.
so.
I kind of remember that, taking the old one to Isaac during our strategic planning or something.
Adam, what do you do with all the stuff you're sucking up? Where do you empty that?
Councilor Letterman, we take that to Isaac down at his drying beds at the wastewater treatment plant.
Oh, okay, okay.
So the only other thing I have on here is my building improvements for my RJU shop building. We did get an engineer's estimate. The engineer's estimate is 1.457. We do have $531,266.80 in our budget after the engineering that we spent and the other stuff.
Adam, did you, 1.457?
Yes, sir.
1,457,000?
Yes, sir.
That's for the building, the whole building.
Yes.
Does that include gross receipts tax?
That includes the grocery tax before
Okay.
$1,344,000.
So that is the number.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that have to be built before we can move everything from Winfield?
Yep. Any other questions for Adam?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem, Adam, can you update us on the pipe situation, what your intentions are?
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem, Council Manager Dodge. So with the shortage of pipe and the resin and actually making the pipe, we've called vendors, and their lead time on pipe is right at July as right now. I did speak with one of my vendors, and I was going to update you guys this morning. They do have some on hand in stock for just municipalities, not projects. So I'm actually working as we speak to get some pipe on the ground. In the meantime, even if it is in July or whatever, we are going to try to get at least 1,000 linear feet of pipe on the ground just to have for stock for any projects that come up. And that way we're cutting down the lead time on these projects.
Which pipe? Both water or sewer, or just strictly water?
The main problem we're having, water, they have more sewer pipe in stock than they do water pipe.
Okay.
They both are, it's both the same resin, but they sell water pipe more than they do sewer pipe. So both of them. We do have a stock of sewer pipe on hand as we speak right now. We have about 880 feet of 4-inch and I believe right at 600 of 8-inch in stock as we speak right now.
Yep, stock up, Adam. Get it here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can. Any other questions for Adam? Anything else, Adam?
No, Council, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the next fund up would be 503, which is the airport fund.
Yes.
And this department has, well, let me get my 8 employees. This is where they were asking for a fleet manager, the 2 firefighters, and what is I think that's it. So when you, on the revenue side, we'll be rolling over some grants. I know they just recently got approved for, and you have to help me with the runway number, overlay, I believe, Joe?
That's gonna be an award of 600,000
There you go.
that we're currently working on that.
That's for runway 1230 and Bravo taxiway.
So that will be a rollover. Otherwise, their revenues are pretty much consistent with the prior year. We stayed conservative just in case there's not that much business during the summer months. And then as far as expenditures are going forward. It kind of stayed pretty much flat with the exception of the additional personnel, right? I don't see any big increases.
There aren't a lot of big increases. There's some vehicle and building maintenance that we have concerns with, just the age of the equipment and the building and, the direction, that the mayor and the council have talked about with that airport on where we're going and what we're doing, to start looking at some, assessments on what to replace, what to fix, and where we're going.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, sir.
Cody, can you talk a little bit about the proposed federal funding that is coming available and the process that you're going to be going through?
Yes, there are a couple of them, council, not just the projects for the runways and everything for FAA, but during our inspection, there's a lot of CARES right now. I believe the 69,000, we've gotten another 23,000 on top of that. The 600,000 for that project. I don't remember the number with our striping from aviation right offhand. And then the other side of that, with the merge with the fire department and the cross training, instead of having 4 employees at the airport that are capable of ARP and fueling and running that airport, we would have the 19 here, the 6 out there, to where we wouldn't be shorthanded. We wouldn't have standbys, our emergency medical or emergency flight, our helibases, the structure protection as the people that live and stay at the airport. And then it would give us opportunity in the future if the village wanted to look at charter flights. And then the state fire marshal's office would allow us next year to add that as an additional staffing and an additional station as a main station, which would raise our fire fund. And then it would also help us to maintain our ISO 2 and possibly move to a 1. Which there's a lot of moving parts in that with the work that we've all done on consolidated dispatch, our staffing numbers that go up through the fire department with the fire marshal's office. So ISO, fire fund, the FAA inspection, and then the cross training for fire safety are structural out there. Overall, short of having to put on a few personnel, everything is a pro that we can see right now for merging the 2 departments. For funding, training, all the way around.
Cody, I was talking specifically about the additional 600,000.
So the 600,000, like Joe was saying, for the runway and taxiway, that PER and design is just a part of the CIP that we have for both runways and taxiways for the airport. I don't know what's going to come after the 600,000, but that could potentially be a federal and state project of around 5 to 6 million that they're continually funding right now.
Wow.
That's pretty good. Really good, actually.
Wow.
So, Cody, going back to the fire personnel, do we have to build a separate building to house the equipment to get that certification of rating of another fire station, or how does that work?
No, sir, Councilor Sauce, we have a building out there that was moved out there for those purposes. It needs a little bit of attention. We've had some of our guys look at it, the roof, a little bit of construction. When I say construction, it's more plumbing, electrical, just little things to get that back in order, and they'll have quarters to live, cook, and just be housed at the airport 24/7 for service.
Okay. Any other questions for Chief Depper or Joe? None? Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving
The
on.
next, The next one would be 510, the wastewater treatment plant. Again, there's two departments within this fund. The department titled 410 is the JUB, where the village pays for 85% of the expense, and then the court pays for the remaining 15. In addition, the court pays us some reserves, the 15 on top of the 15. And so this particular facility operates with 10 FTEs. And as we looked, the revenues did go up just because some of the expenses that are being projected are a little bit higher than the prior year due to some capital outlay of the screening process. But otherwise, without that screening process, most of the expenditures stayed flat. But if Isaac wants to explain a little bit about that screening.
Good morning, Mayor and councilors. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So what we have is an aging entrance works, and that's what takes out everything coming into the facility. We have a core spar screen, which takes out big plastics. It has 1/4-inch grating with a climbing rake. That takes out all the big items, and then it goes to our grit removal, which removes all the inorganics such as sand, eggshells, and anything not living. And then it goes to our fine screens. And these fine screens are 3 millimeter. They have 3 millimeter openings, as where the horsebar screen has 1/4-inch. These have 3 millimeter. So they look like tiny little holes punched in a giant screen. So what's happening is, as they're aging, more and more material is starting to get past them and into our facility. And we're seeing them inside of our filters as we speak. Today we're even doing a filter clean, and there's a lot of rags that are getting through, and hair, and airsoft BBs, things like that that shouldn't be in the system. So what I'm proposing is to upgrade our fine screens from the 3 millimeter to a 2 millimeter, and these would be a Huber screen, and they're a drum instead of a flat plate. So it would catch, I think it was 80 to 90% more material than what we're catching right now at the moment. And I've already got a quote. I kind of blew the guy off 2 years ago because it just wasn't feasible at the time. But now that it's been 2 years later, I would like to reconsider that option and upgrade our fine screens at the Entrance Works building.
What?
And it would cost $418,000 for 2 units themselves. I mean, $416,000, but it would also have to be engineered and then pay a contractor. So I figure I budgeted $2 million for it, but I think it'll probably cost less than that. Any questions on that?
That's a big jump from 416K to 2 million, but.
Well, what it is because I'd have to get possibly Molson and Corbin to engineer, and then the contracting. What it is, they might have to tear down a wall to get them into the building. It was kind of a bad design when they constructed that building in the first place. So in order to get these units in the building, they would have to probably tear down a wall, and they'll have to take out these other existing fine screens and put the new ones in.
And I'll remind the council, it was Molson Corbin that designed this building.
I shouldn't have said that, but yes.
No.
Way to go, Isaac.
You're doing good. So.
Well, and it's only because even if we had to service the ones that are currently in there, there isn't no way to get them out of the building. They don't fit through doors. So that's kind of a monkey on my back waiting to, come alive. But hopefully
Isaac,
we'll get that figured out.
You mentioned 2 units. How many units total?
I have 3 right now, but the ones that I got quoted for can handle the exact same amount of flow that 3 of my current ones can handle at the moment.
Okay, but you got 3 total in
intakes? Is that
We have 3 total screens right now, fine
Screens.
screens.
okay?
And the new ones, we would only have 2 instead of 3. And actually, one can handle all flow, so the other one would be a standby for high flow weekends and holidays.
And that's where I was getting at. So now are you gonna start on a rotation basis of changing out these screens so that it's not like 2 or 3 every time you need to change them, or?
Yes, sir, and that's what we do at the moment. With our 3, we keep 2 in operation at all times, and then we service the other one that's not in use at the moment. And every quarter, we go ahead and switch it to the other one, so that another one will be off and the other 2 will be in operation, and then so forth.
Okay.
Isaac, can you go over the increase in professional services?
What number was that, Judy?
510, 410, 52006, it went up like 230,000?
Mayor Crawford, councilors, that, so we budgeted a $200,000 for a facilities master plan, as we discussed in the last council meeting.
It's not on page there. We don't have that number on our page, or I don't see
Yeah,
it.
right here.
Page 113.
Oh, it's on 116?
Page
Oh,
116.
116?
Yeah, third item down from the top.
Oh, I
And
see.
as Eric said, that would be to get the facility master plan, and that would have to be through an engineer. And that's why it's in the professional services.
Won't be Moses Corbin. Okay. But, Judy, if I could go back to revenue.
Yes?
Hold on, I gotta find it. On the fees, I saw that was, I had a question on the budgeting. It seems we budget under. I don't know where I'm at now.
Are you talking about the treatment fees? We can,
Yeah, the
try and
treatment plant
increase
fees.
that up.
That's what I was thinking. Shouldn't that be at least at 3 million instead of 27 or 2.7?
Yes, I'll move it up.
Because just looking at actual from history, it's always been over 3.
Except for.
Do you have any other questions on any other accounts?
How are we gonna be able to change those screens?
I think he rotates on flows. How are you going to change them out, Isaac? The screens?
What they'll do is leave a certain number in operation as they install the new ones in, and then bring the new one online, and then take the other screen out of service, and then have them both in. That's why we pay them the big bucks to figure those hard decisions out.
Mayor Pro Tem, or Mayor, Isaac, don't you also have emergency, like redundancy built into where you could push flows to one of your basins if you had to?
Yes, sir, we do. And we can always divert flow into our equalization basins that in turn, we can retreat it and go through the screens again while construction is being made as well. I should have worded that better. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. So there's just, other controls built in so that we, when we go through those maintenance issues, they have protocols set up for that.
Yes, ma'am, and we can divert all flow into those basins for approximately, I don't even want to jinx myself, but maybe 48 hours or so.
Yeah. Thanks, Isaac.
Yes, ma'am.
Isaac Jackson, about how long will it take per screen for these to be installed?
I actually have the quote right here. He's saying 3 days. But, I mean, that's to bring the unit in and install them after the contractor's here. But I don't know, to be honest with you. Not until after we get the engineer online and then the contractor online.
Thank you.
Especially if we're having to knock down walls and
So
whatever.
we're barely in the infancy stage of this whole process.
So when you tear down the walls, you're gonna make the door bigger, so when you replace them, right?
Yes, sir. And that's exactly what we need. We also needed a crane in there. We're having to use cherry pickers and different types of units to service these screens on their heavy, they have giant gearboxes on them. So it was kind of, we lacked a crane in there, but hopefully we'll be able to get one installed with the new units that come in.
That'll be good.
Yes, sir.
Just want to be safe. Is the cherry picker safe?
Yeah.
Could be.
Is it safe as long as you hold on, isn't it, Isaac?
Yes, sir. And as long as you have good, strong guys. You know, it's always going to be, you know, a little dangerous, but we try to make it as safe as possible. Because these things, you know, they weigh a lot, so we just do what we have to do to make it work and keep it running.
Any other questions for Isaac?
Thanks, Isaac.
Thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful day. I appreciate everything you guys do for me.
Thank you. Too.
So we'll move on to the next enterprise fund. Number 522, solid waste. This actually has two departments, Department 200, which is solid waste, and then 201, which is forestry. So we'll start with the 200 first. That has 18 employees, and then the other department, forestry, has 4.
Solid waste. Judy, how many employees for solid waste?
18?
Oh, thank you.
Actually, it should be 19, Judy.
We'll have to go over that, because I only show 18, but I'll make a note to sit with you.
Okay.
Hey, Jerry, I just noticed there's some accounts that didn't have budgeted amounts. Did you not budget any amounts for subscriptions in that? Do I need to put some amounts in there? I just saw that.
Well, we haven't filled out any of them, Judy.
Those were supposed to be input?
Hey, Jerry, this is Ron. Did you guys input your numbers on there? They were for the proposed budget?
We have ours on a sheet. I was working on that yesterday during the meeting and stuff.
Can you send me those figures?
Yes, ma'am. I'm waiting for that sheet though, Judy, for the wages and stuff.
Yeah. Mayor, with this one, if you don't mind, we're gonna, Jerry's gonna work directly with Ron to get these numbers input. We'll just basically go off the historic. Is there any new purchases or recommendations that you're making, Jerry?
Just the dumpsters, but that's, that's normal funding levels, Tim.
Okay.
So
It's time for us to do the new dumpsters on this next budget.
So all your other items are flat then?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Everything else will be pretty much the same, Ron.
okay. We need to get those numbers inputted there.
Including your picker. I thought I heard some talk about the old grappler truck was
Oh, yeah.
issues. Or how's that working right now, Jerry? Is it still functional for a while, or is it something, that new one? Do we need to get that on the horizon, or what?
I've got parts for that. We're working on that right now.
Okay.
Mayor, the other thing that we've talked about is developing a convenience station. So, we probably need to put some money in professional services to look at that whole process and permitting process and whatnot. So, we can, Ron and I and Judy can work with
Jerry
to get his budget hashed out, and then we're going to be bringing all this back to you for formal approval. So,
Okay.
we'll work with Jerry over the next week or so to get this stuff worked out.
Okay.
What's a convenience?
Where people can take their refrigerators, furniture, and spare tires, and instead of throw them in front of your house, they'll take them down there.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully.
Okay, thank you.
We'll see. It's yet to be determined. Okay. Okay,
We'll get with him, Mayor. We'll get with him and work through it.
Okay, no doubt.
And then the next department would be 201, which was forestry. And I believe Mr. Cook is on the line.
How many personnel?
4? There is only one increase in the contractual services. And
Actually, it's not an increase. It's, we had the same thing last year.
Oh,
The only increases were in personnel.
you want to go over what that contractual service amount is for?
Yeah, that's the account that we did things like, then the new acquisition on, Meacham, and we cut some of the snags from the grindstone area, and that's what we're using to do the thinning on our road right-of-ways, where we got thick vegetation along our road right-of-ways.
Any other questions on forestry?
Dick, it's Susan.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just by Gavilan Canyon, like going up by Subway. Did y'all cut all those trees?
Yes, we did.
That looks wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was at the request of the police department. Evidently, there behind McDonald's, there's a lot of drug use and transients camping and those kind of things. They requested we do that, and that was out of this $50,000 that we had for this year that we did that.
Yeah, that is so wonderful. I appreciate that. That was a terrible area to always have to clean up, so thank you.
Dick, what's the difference in that 50,000 contractual services and the 13,000 for tree removal?
The tree removal is what we use for hazard trees on village property. It's just, it could be used for the same thing, but the 13,000 is something that's been programmed for several years, and that's normally for just the hazard trees, the trees that die on village property that create a hazard for power lines or roads or some of those kind of things.
Okay, thanks.
How many vehicles do you have?
We have 3.
And 3,000 is enough on fuel? Wow.
Yes, we've been under that for the last 15 years, so we think that's going to be plenty.
This is always surprising me.
We have little cars.
I know what I kind of guess I spend.
I just spent $35 on my little car to fill it up.
It's like 85.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, I think we're good. Let's move on. I don't see anything. Anybody else got anything? Nope. Okay, we're good to go.
Thank you. The next is our new fund, the radio station, which is fund number 537. This fund, right now is, receiving a subsidy from the general fund to balance it out. I know there has been talk about maybe getting it, funded by lodger's tax. I did not make that change this year. Right now, it's still coming from the general fund, but if I need to change it, I can. This department has 1 employee for right now. And, I know, there was one amount omitted, from the budget. I believe, Rodney, forgot to include a tower repair.
Yep.
In the amount of 32,000, so I'll be adding that to a maintenance account. Is that correct, Rodney, the amount?
I think Rodney had to jump onto the sidewalk project, but I believe that was the correct amount.
Okay. Other than that, the budget actually went down a little bit, it looks like. After some initial startup costs, I think that's what the difference would be.
Okay. Any questions on that? Remind me, we need to get clarification on that sign. What we're doing on that, what happened or whatever.
Mayor, do you have, Jeff, do you have any updates on that?
The sign, Mayor, Council Manager Dodge, the sign, I believe there was 2 signs ordered. One is an indoor sign, which I believe is in, and another is an outdoor sign, which I understand is going to be delivered on May 7th.
So what was the indoor sign for?
I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, thank you. Okay, next.
Fund 600 is a wash, the risk management. This is where we collect the payment for insurances, and this year we're basing off the payment off of current year amounts. Our property and general insurance is going to total 443,000, and our workers' comp is at 324,500. So you'll just see an in and an out on that. Excuse me.
Judy, and on the GL, that's pretty much
767.
half of what it used to be, correct?
Yes, sir.
60% or so? So, that's a substantial savings that AJ has been talking about.
Yeah.
And with that, that's the last fund for the budget for fiscal year 2022.
I have a question.
Shoot.
Judy, on here, remember we have all of the funds like for Lincoln County, juvenile justice. We're going to continue that, right?
We do have 40,000 set aside in this budget to take care of those requests. We have developed an application where we will advertise to outside agencies that they can apply, and then based on the funding, we'll divide up the money if that's how council feels that, if that's an okay approach.
But that didn't include the Humane Society or those, does it?
No, the Humane Society's budgeted in the police department. So there's some of those other programs that we do fund out of various funds, but that process in past has gone back to IFC. And it's budgeted in the legislative budget, correct?
Yes, sir?
Yep. So that, normally those go back to IFC.
Okay.
If you guys want to change the process, we're open to that as well, just whatever you guys want, it's your direction.
I'm fine with it that way if you are.
Sure, because they come to IFC and they make the presentation and make their case.
Yeah.
And then Jeff generally request a, just say their expenditures and so on, so that they can show what the money is being used for and the reason why they're requesting it.
What do they use the money for?
You're talking about your...
Juvenile justice.
That's Susan, right? She's on the board.
Well, it goes to all of the programs for the guys circle that they have, the girls circle. It's for it's for kids that are in trouble, but not enough trouble.
I know, but what do we spend, what do they spend it on?
Programs.
I mean, can we be more specific? I'm just, because I know the juvenile justice, I've heard pros and cons, you know, people say that they don't have enough teeth in it, that the kids are rude and whatever, and we were talking about making some changes last year.
I don't think that's true at all. They always make a big program to Judy and to the financial.
I've been on IFC for 2 years, I've never heard it.
For them to present, that is.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
When I used to be involved with it, with the Parks Department, it is, like she said, the circle of safety and stuff, and, you know.
Yeah, the probation officers.
Probation officers come in, and it is to get some supplies to some of the programs, not to the individuals, but at least what I remember, because they used to meet at the senior center or have groups there. That's when Carson was judge and running it. And
Dan Bryant is the chairman now, but we go to each community. If like Carrizozo, we have instructors that go to Carrizozo, and of course we have a big one here in Ruidoso that Hondo usually participates in, Capitan.
do you remember Sergio before we had the IFC and stuff? Because that's where I always was trying to proportion it like that. They were always coming, I think, $10,000 and stuff, but I said, well, how many of those are Ruidoso kids? You try to say, well, all the crimes happen in Ruidoso, but I go, well, you know, they might be from other parts of the county where they should be able to contribute.
Ruidoso Downs contributes 5,000.
And that's,
we contribute 5,000. Lincoln County contributes 10,000.
Mayor, if I remember correctly, last year, we had ended up having to schedule 2 different meetings, and there may be a conflict, but I do remember that they did come and present.
They did.
Because I don't remember them. I was just wondering why I didn't know about them, but I know you were having to ask for the check that had been approved.
Isn't that right, Judy? Didn't we have to have 2 meetings for some reason last year? There was a conflict or something?
Yes, we did, and I believe Mr. John Lund
Did he
is
come-
the one.
Did he come this year for the?
We haven't
to make a
scheduled that
present-
yet.
They haven't?
We haven't scheduled the presentations yet, but he was the one that talked about it last year.
Okay, well, John will be the one that comes and talks to you again.
And we could set
Yes.
it up to where the whole council, you know, if they wish to listen in, we could advertise it as a potential quorum if everybody wants to participate or listen in. But we'll-
I don't need to participate.
I would just like to know more about it, because I've never had any firsthand dealings with it, and,
Yeah. We'll make sure we coordinate that with your schedule this
you
year,
know, I'd
Mayor.
just like to see what it's all about.
For some reason, I can recall, but there was some type of conflict at that time in scheduling. I know we had to go back.
It was, what I recall, triple play for Boys and Girls Club. I mean, that's like 15, and that's where I was trying to think, because I forgot that Humane Society moved to, or their
Police.
funding coming from the police, where they used to come to that meeting under that.
They still do come do a presentation to us,
Yeah,
the Humane Society.
yeah.
I recall they presented last year to the IFC.
And we asked them about the neuter spay and them turning away people. Remember that were trying to drop off animals and they wouldn't take them because they said and so that's what they're there for, so they worked on that. And then Zia comes out of, is it General?
Yeah, Zia presented to us and so did Main Street.
Main Street, yeah.
Main Street, that's where.
But Zia doesn't come out of this either.
No.
Are you talking about the
Transit.
one where we passed the resolution as part of their grant? Is that the one you're talking about? It's like
We
30,000 or
passed a
something like that?
resolution that said that we were going to continue it.
Yeah, Main Street.
But that comes out of the Zia.
The Zia
Trans-
one comes out of lodger's tax.
Lodger's tax. Okay.
Main Street, we have in community development, is that correct?
Main Street is actually in legislative also.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mayor,
Yes.
Council, this is Bertha. I have a question for Judy. We have an agreement on the upcoming meeting for the Lincoln County Humane Society in the amount of $70,000. And they were requesting an additional $10,000 and we were told for them to go through the IFC. So is that correct, Judy?
Yes, yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Who's that, Bertha?
Bertha.
So do you have one IFC meeting per year?
Quarterly.
No, we have them quarterly and sometimes during budget, we might have an additional one around this time.
Like we
where
had
they
an
make the
IFC meeting before about
presentation.
this and other stuff, so that's why I was confused. We have them.
So Lincoln County Juvenile Justice has not presented to you yet for last year, for us, for the 5,000 last year? Or?
No, they
I mean,
did, they did.
But
They
for
did.
2020
Everybody's presented for the current year. We just haven't done for fiscal year 2022 yet. That's coming up in May.
We haven't done a call yet. It'll be now in May that we're asking for presentations. We do this budget hearing first, and that's where we appropriate that money in, and then we listen to the requests.
Okay.
So
guess I'm-
we should be hearing those presentations next month.
I've heard a few of them.
Do what?
I've heard a few of them.
And this will be the first year that we actually have like an application process. We've never implemented an application, but we did this year to
Is there,
keep track of
is it
everything.
Chav, Counselor?
I don't, because last year at this time, we had it in the budget for $5,000. So did we get that money for 2020, 2021?
It's in the budget,
Yes,
yes.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
In fact, it was a month or two ago.
Oh,
That
okay,
it was-
that you sent the check? Thank you
Yes.
very much. Okay, okay. So this is for the upcoming, yes, and so in May or whatever, then John would come with his application and give a presentation for next budget
Next fiscal
year.
year.
fiscal year.
Yes.
Okay,
And in this process, we're pre-planning to fund those so that you all have agreed that in that legislative, we have set aside those monies for next year.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out what all, out of that 40,000, what all would be applying to it.
Right,
So as of right now, there's like 2 or 3 things.
right.
One of them is the triple play. Then I thought we used to do the Kids Connection or Kids Wilderness Camp or something. Was that not in that one?
No, that
was in
came out
March.
of Harlem.
What's triple play?
It's a program
Mind,
that,
for the mind, body, and soul.
Boys and Girls Club runs. It's an after-school program.
Drop off all the kiddos and.
A portion of it, so.
Okay.
Thanks, Judy, I appreciate it.
Judy, are we
So
gonna,
you,
are we
usually
now,
at this point, oh, go ahead.
Judy, are we now gonna go over the whole list of capital purchases or capital requests?
We can, and I was just gonna ask, usually at this point, we usually ask the counselors if there was, in the presentations in this budget, were there any projects or anything that you did not see in here that you wanted to, talk about?
I'd like to talk about $100,000 for a going away party for Counselor Cornelius moving to Oregon and give him $1 coupon to McDonald's for $1 burger or something.
Where's the other 909?
Use that to recruit a replacement.
99,999.
No, that's for us. It's where we just have a good time.
We're not gonna let him go.
Lunch expenses, right?
I think that we've covered pretty much everything.
We've got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of purchases.
A very lot.
I think, Mayor, if you all don't mind this, I think the capital purchase list, I think we should review. And, I've some of the observations that I've made, I had a discussion, I hope Rodney joins us pretty quick, but, we've acquired several different properties and we need to think about, some of the amenities that may be needed for those properties. And, we talked about maybe the lighting project and, what it's going to take. And, we've had some discussions. I had a discussion with Councilor Salas about if we're going to be doing that lighting project, maybe we can get some Wi-Fi installed to do a Wi-Fi network downtown, but also to be able to mount some additional cameras in the Midtown area. So just different things like that I think, and I'm just throwing that stuff out for food for thought. But if we can go through that, if you're okay with that, Mayor?
Yeah, I think so. Sweet.
So we did pass out the schedule yesterday. I forgot to add the bucket truck. So I have since made changes on my schedule.
And just one of the things that I also wanted to bring up is that in the current budget, and I guess we'll be rolling this over, we have planned for furniture for some of the offices there in Village Hall as well. So, that's another thing that wasn't discussed, but there is plans for that. So go ahead, Judy.
So the schedule that we're gonna go over, it's titled Village of Ruidoso Capital Outlay Schedule, budget year end 6/30/22. And it starts off with 4 police vehicles.
Oh, we got it?
Do you all have that one? We passed it out yesterday.
Yes.
We're finding them.
Okay, just let me know when y'all are ready.
It looks like Gary, John, Joe, you looking?
Joe's looking for his. Found it. We're ready.
Okay, let her rip.
Okay, so here we go. The first one is out of the police department, which was 4 police vehicles at $240,980. And the only other request would be the Parks and Rec bucket truck. You'll have to add that to your list. I'm pricing it at $370,000. I'm not sure if that's anywhere in the ballpark. Most of the things, companies, I've had a talk with Rodney, is you have to call them to get a pricing, but we're estimating that at that amount. The next few projects are in SGRT, which is Fund 202. And there's been a request for the Wingfield drainage, which totals $320,000. And then the USR additional at $450, a water master plan.
Remind me what
And 200
USR is,
Yeah.
utility, what was that?
Underground storage.
Underground storage, yeah, that's right. Water, yeah, thank you.
And then a water master plan at $200,000. And a risk and resiliency at $150,000, and then phase 3 of Eagle Creek at $1.5 million.
What's the risk and resiliency?
Is Eric still on the line?
It's a study to determine the resiliency of our water system.
Okay, study of resilience. Thank you. Thanks, Judy, I got it.
Okay. And then the next couple of requests were coming from Lodgers Tax for the portable stage at $158,000, and the lighting and sound package at another $66,021 for a total of $224,021.
I don't think that the sound package was 60, wasn't it? I don't think it had anything to do with lighting.
It was just the sound package.
That's the one for the poles down.
that was just it wasn't the lap poles.
No, we talked about that.
This one
yesterday,
is for the stage.
Well, the portable stage is 158, the one below it, lighting and sound package,
Mayor,
that's for the stage?
Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
Okay, that's for the stage, that has nothing to do with the.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
you are correct.
Okay, good.
The Midtown, sound is in this current budget year.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's right, we're talking about next year.
Then we move into the joint utility fund, and water production is requesting a construction truck for a crane and a snowplow at $140, another crew cab truck at $31,600, and then a couple of projects at Plat 4 paving and to build an office at $150,000, and then the North Fork Control Building at $40,000. And then Department 212, of that same fund, is requesting furniture for new offices, graveling for Alto Reservoir 2 Well Road, the Apple Orchard Well, and the Eagle Creek Diversion to Brown Well. And then the Grindstone Reservoir picnic area at $48,300, and to purchase some land for water rights at $250. And then the water distribution includes the beacon transmitters at $449,000, and the sewer line extension at $100,000. And then, of course, the treatment plant's fine screen entrance works restoration at $2 million. So going back to the police vehicles, those can actually be purchased out of the SURF along with the P&R bucket truck. If you'd like to, we can move them out of the general fund and into the SURF. We are adding $500,000 from the general fund in the fiscal year 22 budget. Plus, they're going to have about 1.6 million of cash balance rollover. So we can move those two, if you would like, straight to the SURF.
We're short 4 million.
How much of that rollover again?
1.5.
1.5.
1.6?
1.6.
Mayor, one of the things that I'd like to reconsider before we approve to move forward is, adding an office at the water production. Talked about, doing that because they have an admin aide at that facility. I think we need to, just as we planned before, the admin aides would all be moving to Village Hall. So I would like to further evaluate that before we make that decision.
Talking about Grindstone?
Yes.
Plat 4 office.
Okay.
Yes, Tim.
Is that for the furniture for the new office?
This is who?
I think he's talking about the one in 210, the Plant 4 office. Is that the one you're talking about, the
Yes.
50,000?
Oh, got it, okay.
Correct.
Let me call you back a
What?
little bit later.
So where is the new sidewalk for
Center?
Center
For
Street?
Center Street.
Where does that come from? What? Because I thought that we were going to do that.
I'm sorry, Mayor, what was the question?
Center Street sidewalk, the one going to Wingfield?
Yes, that's not in here. You know, I think that's something we need to consider. Rodney's currently, did Rodney end up coming back on?
I don't think so. He was working on the figures for that project. But I don't see him on right now.
Yeah, he's on the sidewalk project right now, but I know that he was working on estimates for that. And, you know, that's something when we bring the final budget for the approval, we can make sure we have those numbers for you at that time. And as soon as we get it, we can send it out in an FYI.
Remind me what the Grindstone Reservoir picnic area. What were we gonna do there?
I believe that was something with the roads too. I'm not sure. Is Eric on the line?
That's something Randy was talking about. Is Randy there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm not sure of that one, Tim, the Grindstone picnic area. Is that Rodney's project?
Says RJU.
Huh.
Let's take a little clarification because I'm I don't recall what that was.
That's not what the erosion control, is it? Not sure.
I don't either. So would that be Eric? And he's not on? Okay.
Oh, Judy's.
And the North Fort Control Building, okay, remind me that one again?
Mayor, he had me price that out. Whatever our control building is out there, they want to come off of that and build a 10-foot extension in there to house some more equipment.
A lean-to type deal, or enclose it all?
It'll be enclosed. It'll be three sides, so it's coming off one side of the existing building. In normal government fashion, that's about 3 times.
Hey, Eric, we got some questions for you. Mayor, we got Eric on the line.
In the RJU fund, the Grindstone Reservoir picnic area for $48,300. Remind me, what is that?
That's for the, we're reworking the gravel road that goes to the back of the reservoir. So we're doing several projects for repairing gravel roads that some of them in our system never even were roads. They were just 2 tracks that had just been used for a while. But Rodney has redone the gravel basically to that first peninsula coming out of the reservoir on the west side of where the Whibbit was when it was installed. And so carrying that gravel road repair to the backside, the west side of the reservoir.
Okay.
Will that make it easier for people that want to hike on the other side of the lake? Will that make it easier for them to get to the other side of the lake?
Yeah, I mean, it would, you know, the primary focus is for our water utility vehicles to be able to get back to our measuring equipment, but it would improve the access to that backside of the reservoir.
And I also have a note on my page for this. There was supposed to also be a grindstone erosion control in the amount of 100,000. That was inadvertently left off the budget. So you'll have to add that as a potential project in 212.
Judy. Can you hear me, Judy? It's Rodney.
Yes, I can hear you, Rodney.
Is that all we had for Eric?
So I just tuned back in. I didn't know if we got the radio tower work on.
Mayor, is that all we got for Eric?
Yes.
Is that all we had for Eric? John answered the one about the control building. I think that was, I guess that's it.
All right, thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay, thank you.
Rodney, I did mention it at 32,000, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Rodney, we're talking about, the Center Street and then some of the other things that we talked about, Midtown lighting. And then, we had that discussion this morning about, what's the plans for some of the additional properties that we acquired. And, it doesn't seem like we addressed some of the needs to address those properties as far as, what we're going to be doing this current year or upcoming year.
So I'll start running down those projects. So the lighting in Midtown for replacing all of the 35 light poles, I have received one CES quote for the replacement, and it's $380,000 for the 35 poles, which does include the GRT. I am working with a second local contractor, but have yet to receive a second quote on the light poles.
Rodney, wasn't there two options on that? You had the fluted and then the other straight?
Yes, there was a couple options, but I'm not sure what the cost difference breakdown was. The one I believe that this covered is more of a decorative fluted pole with like a bend at the top of the pole.
We don't have to have the new poles to have the new sound system though, right?
No. That is correct. We do not need it.
This is just, would be a nice addition to the Main Street.
Well, and I think it's a little more than that. Those poles, if you'll look at them, they have incurred a lot of damage over the years. The poles are supposed to have a cedar cover at the bottom of the pole to cover the exposed electrical connections, and the majority of those have been damaged. There's one pole that has significant damage there in front of the Times Square Plaza. And so, I mean, I think they've served their purpose, and it's really time for them to be replaced, in my opinion. It's not just only a decorative issue.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Rod, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. The other item that I've been working on is a realignment and reconstruction of Center Street. As you all are aware, on both the east and the west side of Center Street, going up towards Wingfield Park, the sidewalks are in bad shape, especially on the west side. They've been, looks like reconstructed, and they have several steps. They had an elevated platform there that doesn't have any railing. And so I have visited with a contractor to look at performing all of that work all the way up Center Street intersecting with Wingfield. But again, I've yet to receive a cost estimate on it. I just met with him on Monday of this week. but it is in the works. Let's see.
Rodney, on that sidewalk, are you designing it for ADA?
Said he's yet to get those.
So, I mean, that is something that I asked the contractor to consider in their design. However, I'm not sure that they can accomplish that with the grades and with the road. If you have, again, I'm not sure if it's possible. You would have to create some switchbacks and landings, and the road isn't wide enough to accommodate that. I think you can put, I mean, it's possible to put, again, the sidewalk, but I'm not sure the slope would meet ADA.
Council, on one side, we got the sidewalk that is about 6 foot, and then where that little house is, it narrows down to about 3.5. And then on the other side, the sidewalk's only about 3 foot. And then, you know, you have one driving lane that's 11 and the other one that's 12. So it's very tight in there.
Yeah, it's tight. I think you've got too much rise in there to meet ADA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to handle this as a maintenance project.
Yeah.
Repair and replacement maintenance project. So.
And then as far as the properties are concerned, the Alto property does have some additional items that I did not request funding for through lodger's tax. And so there would be some other items that potentially could have some improvements completed with a walking trail around the fishing area would be the main one, with some elevated docks or platform for people to walk on. And then with the White Mountain property, you know, staff has started to perform some removal of some of the fence, but there is an old trailer on the property that should be either demoed or hauled off. The removal of an old septic tank in that area as well, that's no longer in service. And I'm not sure if there was any funding set aside for that during the acquisition, but I don't believe so.
Which property was that?
The 421 Hull Road.
Mayor, Council, do you think we ought to just maybe open it up to get that additional information provided, present it with the final budget, and then let the council go through and, you know, we can give you a better number of availability of funds, and then.
Yeah, and we need to have options at that point if we're gonna do it at the final budget.
And I guess I should be saying preliminary, because, you know, we do the preliminary approval next, correct, Judy?
Yes, we'll do this approval in May, and then we actually just submit our cash balances at the end of June.
So the preliminary now in May, we'll bring the additional information to y'all, and then, you know, we'll try to get that information to you sooner, and then that way you could take a look at it and see, you know, which one of these projects you want to move forward and whatnot. You know, I think in the, you know, the ones that are listed on here, they're broken into the departmental funds, which seem to be in balance, but these additional requests that we're talking about, and I think by then we should probably have a good idea about the additional federal funding that's coming in as well. The Department of Treasury had 60 days to get that guidance out, and, you know, I think we're coming pretty close to that date, right, Ron? We hadn't seen any additional information yet, but that's going to give you, you know, approximately about 1.8 additional funds to work with.
1.8?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Tim, I also think it's going to be more than 450,000 or 449,000 for those beacon transmitters. From what I could glean of what I heard from Adam is that we may well end having contracted workers installing and formalizing those connections, and that's just labor that's not involved with this. This is just the materials.
Mayor, Council, is there any other capital projects that you can think that we may need to start planning for, or?
Rodney, is he still on there? Yeah. You mentioned about the Moon Mountain that we had received, and the number is confusing to me. A grant on design and then building, and that's in this current budget?
Yes, sir. I believe all of those funds are in the existing and FY22 budget. This current year, it was for the design, and then the upcoming budget year was for the construction.
Okay, so you've already got all that in the budget?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Rodney,
We'll
if you
roll
could-
it over at the end of, after June, I'll roll over in July.
Okay.
Rodney, just, I think the clarification is that in the meeting that we had, with a private developer that was interested in the property, you had mentioned that the project was upwards towards 600,000 of trails.
Yeah.
But in the IFC meeting, when we're going over budget, it looked like the federal funding and the available funding was closer to, 280 or 260 or something like that. So can you clarify that? How much money for trails do we have, both in design and construction?
Because I'm working from home, I don't have that grant request. Judy, I'm not sure if you have the numbers. We approved that a couple years ago, so there has not been a change to that grant application or the award.
Yes, I do have them. I'm getting them right now. And you're just talking the trails, the Creve, the Lynx, and the Moon Mountain? Or which one are we talking about?
Just the Moon Mountain.
Just Moon Mountain? Okay. So for Moon Mountain, I have a $60,000 planning grant and a $240,000 construction grant for a total of project costs of $300,000.
Manager Dodge, and again, that number is correct. I must have misspoken before, but again, there has been no change to that award for either the design or construction.
And that's fine. You may have talked about other value of other improvements or whatnot, but I think that's something that Mayor and I both heard, right, Mayor?
Yeah,
And we
that's
just
why I
want
was
clarification.
confused. You were in the office that day when we were talking to the people that were thinking about proposing that public-private partnership, and then when we were looking at budget, I heard two something, and that's why I was just curious. So we've got it in the plan for now. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Mayor, one of the other items that, we haven't discussed, that Ron and I've been, going back and forth with White Sands on is the Horton Complex. We had intended to have that information for you this week, but I think we covered it briefly yesterday, talking about the electrical. We will have that information, very shortly, within the next couple of weeks, on where we're at with Horton Complex.
Yeah.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, they'll have their mechanical engineer will be here Saturday to be on site to get some more additional information, so.
But that's not really a wish list. That's something we've got to get done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, we gotta do it, so.
We just keep getting sticker shock.
I know.
By the time I peel myself off the ceiling, it's time to hear it again, so. Okay.
Well, Mayor, I'd like to just, give that direction to the manager and staff, at least from consensus on some of these items that we know for positive or that we feel, like for me right now, just looking at it, Isaac was saying I really need to do these screens, so that's a given to me for this year. $2 million, I question that, but, that's something that's definitely, and the other is, the police vehicles. And then, we could pick and choose as far as the other ones, but.
Well, on the screens, I was under the impression that we were looking at taking that out of funds that we already had in the JUB or with the
Yes,
wastewater treatment plant.
that's where it'll be funded out of.
Yeah, so it'll be coming out of there, so it's not coming out of anything we've got to figure.
So it's not out of our general.
No, but we'll be voting on that. We discussed it with JUB, that it's got to be done, and so I just want to make sure you understand that.
Yeah. All these, the only thing that's planned out of general fund is the police vehicles on this list here.
And it was on his budget. We went over.
Yeah. And then again, clear something up for me, because I got up, stepped out, and came back. We do have the repair for the KRUI antenna in this somewhere?
I have to add it into 537,
Okay.
32,000.
Okay. Because I remember last winter, when we were talking about the wind and the ice, and there was concerns about that, so I just want to make sure we're proceeding with that.
So everything on this sheet right here is already put into the budget.
Except for the police vehicles are too, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing, like the grindstone erosion control for 100,000, that wasn't put in the budget.
Right,
The
right.
bucket truck for 370.
We have to add that.
Right, the bucket truck for 370 was not.
I thought the bucket. Was the bucket truck not already requested?
It wasn't in the figures that you saw in front of you on the budget worksheet. It was an addition after the fact.
Okay.
What was that amount again, Judy?
I have it costed at 370.
170.
Downtown lighting, wasn't it?
No, 370, and I'm not exactly sure if I'm in the ballpark or not.
And that's the way I recall it too.
That just seems like a lot to me.
Center Street wasn't in our budget.
No.
Ron just reminded me, come on, Ron, speak up. Ron's all quiet over there.
Oh, I'm multitasking still, but Mayor Cropper, members of the council, a couple of other items that we spoke about yesterday was the striper.
Oh, yes.
And the coal mix trailer, which has a diesel.
The hot mix.
Heater.
Has a diesel heater in it, and that's about $22,000 is what the state paid for theirs, so I'm using that as just a ballpark figure on that.
On both of them? Or
That's on the trailer, the.
the striper, was it 19?
I don't know what the striper's gonna be.
Mayor, Council, the striper, the last year when we quoted a striper, a brand new one, you're looking right at the $75,000 to $80,000 mark.
Thank you.
That heated trailer will probably pay for itself pretty quick.
I think that will, definitely. And how much was the heated trailer for the mix?
I had just a rough estimate from the DOT from District 2. They paid about $22,000 for it.
And I'm like John, I think that one will pay for itself.
Yep.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
And we already have a striper?
Mayor Crawford, we do have a striper, but it's kind of outdated and old, and we've been trying to piece it together to keep it running.
Bubble gum, boiling water, tape.
It can do the,
So we don't have bubble gum in the.
curve, it can do the curve now, but to do an actual line, it's computerized and it's just, it's not working properly and it's old. So. The only other thing is have somebody with a paintbrush, Mayor, laying on a, I had somebody say that once, they'll just put a paintbrush and just drive, you know. That's not,
I can tell you, it doesn't work very good. We've tried it out.
Use a roller instead.
that's a roller, yes.
Once you've already put down the lines with chalk.
Mayor, council,
Yes.
it's John with that striper. And last time we did do the, we went out and checked with Sandbar and with Highway Supply. And the striper would pay for itself in a couple of years if we did it ourselves for the price of the cost per linear foot to have a bigger company do it.
Who did Apache Trail?
We did.
It looked good.
We did that. That was one of the, right after we had done that is when the striper started really giving us problems.
It was the last good stripe.
Yep. And so, who works on that thing?
That would be me, Lonnie, and Derek.
I mean, how much technical expertise do you have with the computer on it? That's what I'm asking. I mean, do they have a manufacturer rep that, I mean, how old is it?
Isn't it a 90s machine?
It was from the 90s.
That's just still got another 30, 40 years left.
If you can find the parts.
That doesn't seem old, 90. Thought it was like a
So it sounds
50s
like
model.
a striper it is. We'll have to figure that out.
And the striper that we have now, it has computer controls, but you're still like your stripe or your dotted lines, you're having to do it manually by hand also. So I mean, it's not very technically computerized.
It has roll-up windows.
You're gonna have somebody with a steady hand to do it. That would be me, I'd be over here like this.
Yeah, me too. All right, and availability on that hot boxes, are those easy to get a hold of?
I have the vendor, all the information, we just need to get 3 quotes, and I'll have Adam and Josh work on that. So I did have they sent me the manufacturer, the company, they did, so.
And I guess we need to make sure we have some quotes on that striper.
We can look at that sooner, Mayor, than later. Well, that's one of the things, because now if we wait till July, then kind of lose some time.
Be able to use
Go
it.
up in price too, you just never know.
So we would paint the stripes in Midtown on the new curbing?
We're doing that. We're already planning on doing that with our old striper, Mayor.
Okay, so they didn't paint it.
Yeah.
At the curb.
And on the Midtown area, Mayor, the state's been doing some repairs, they're gonna continue on with repairs. I know we've had calls and questions about it. They're also wanting to do a fog seal in some of the area. And right now with the shortage of paint due to the freeze, a lot of the striping companies are not able to get the paint. So they want to do the fog seal first prior to doing any type of striping. So I don't know what their plan or schedule, but once we hear something from them, we'll let everyone know.
Is that just on Meacham?
Meacham and Sudworth.
So we need to know that schedule.
Yeah.
So are they gonna come back and seal those sidewalks?
That I'm not sure. Rodney would have to answer that question if they're going to come in and do any type
On
of.
that side of the street, take a beating. If they
Yeah.
don't get sealed, they're not gonna last.
Yeah. Rodney?
Rodney?
You still on, Rod?
Yes, sir. So I do not believe that was an item that DOT had funded. I know that the contractor did mention to me that it is a line item in the contract that if we were interested, that he could apply it. But it's with the schedule of the project the way it is not going to be applied.
Mayor, when we look at the quantities, I think we may get that completed. But, with the quantities, I think we're going to have some excess money to work with there, so. With the current.
I'd still like to get that down there in front of Candle Power and in front of my old building, because it's wore out down there too.
Did you all talk about that, Rodney?
I saw maybe.
So What we discussed in today's meeting was performing or getting the cost proposal to complete the work all in front of the Candle Power building, to complete the work in front of or adjacent to Pine Street to remove those illegal parking areas, and also to remove the illegal parking areas next to Country Club Drive. And so DOT is going to perform all of the measurements and calculations on Monday and get us an accurate or cost estimate to perform that work. And so once I have that, I'm gonna have to verify with Karen Gutierrez what our available balance is and what funds we have to cover all that work. And then if there's any additional work, we would either have to consider to see if we have the funding, or maybe chip in some additional available funds. However, the one thing that I would like to mention is all of the work that I had described, it seems like without any weather delays, they're going to use up the remaining time, which is until May 27th to perform all of that work. If there was anything additional, it would require them either to work at after that May 27th date, or come back at some other time during the summer or later in the year.
I think what we committed was just go to the 22nd and then look at a second phase after that and try to, if there is opportunity to do additional work, then we would, basically force account it and get the work done. So.
Y'all know what he means by those parking spots?
No,
When you're coming down Country Club to Suttereth and you try to turn left, those parks right there in front of Canfield property, when they park trucks and stuff and there, it says yellow, it's yellow, no parking, but people still park there. You can't see out and around those cars, and there's wrecks and almost wrecks there. The other one is over by Pine, by Kerry Gladden's office. People park there going to the restaurant, Buttery, and it's yellow. And the people coming out of Pine can't see around it. And I've been in her office before, and it's like, oh my Lord, they almost. And so we've had the police going by, and so they were talking about just being able to get rid of them, move them back so that they can't park there.
Yeah.
So that's what he meant by illegal, is it's just a hazard. Okay. Anybody else have anything they can think of?
We've spent a lot of money.
All right, thank you, Rodney. Thank you, Judy. Do we have anything else, manager? All right.
Not at this time.
Mayo Candios, we will, since we went through everything, thank you for all the hard work and input, everyone.
Thank you.
Good job, Judy.
This meeting is adjourned. Good work. Now then, we'll find out what they're wanting on the TRD. We're going to. Red Department on that settlement.